Welcome to a Toast to the Men Network with your guy SD by way of Thought Provoking Tuesdays with SD. Man, how y'all doing? It's good to be here. Hey, man, I appreciate the support. Before I forget, next week I'm gonna have my girl Victoria and my brother Abdul on, and they are with. Let me make sure I get their IG channel correct. Let's see. On the Spectrum. That's the name of their IG channel, On the Spectrum. Man, Abdul Foster, Vicky Chestnut. Man, they got some good content, some great content actually. And they'll be joining me next week, next Tuesday. You know, Vicky's been on, well, I don't think she's been on screen, but she's coming on this segment. So yeah, man, that's gonna be a treat, man. Two intelligent people. That's gonna be a treat. But let's get into it, man. I won't hold you long. Let's get into it. Are women held accountable? You know, I was looking at. Of course, I looked throughout. You know, the platform of life, and I look over my life and reflect on the past, and I look at the present. But recently, I was looking at a confrontation or some discontent between the comedian and actor Monique and the comedian and actor D.L. Hughley. And man, she went on a rant in one of her stand-up gigs that they were on the bill for. They were both on the bill. And apparently, on the contract initially, she was going to headline. And this is coming from her. She was going to headline. And she says DL had a problem with her headlining. So at the last minute, the day of the show, DL spoke to the promoters and he was moved to the headliner position, and she was going on before him. And that's her take on it. You know, she said that he was intimidated. He was acting like a bee. And he spoke to the promoters and said he wasn't going to be on the bill if she was headlining. You know, that's her take. I don't know if that's true or not. That's her take. He responded with the contract, which really doesn't say much because, you know, they could have redid the contract. But, you know, unless she's just misinformed or a sociopath, you know, it's kind of hard to not believe her in this case that she would cause such a rant about the headlining or the movement of who's going to headline. But however, Monique is no stranger to confrontation. She's no stranger to getting into it with people, high-profile people. So, you know, I don't know what happens in her everyday life. I can only imagine. But I noticed something. She went on a rant about men attacking women. Now, I didn't see DL attacking her. He stood his ground and showed the contract. He did give her a little dig about, you know, the movie Precious, that she was acting as herself in Precious. He did give her a little dig, but I don't see that as an attack. So she went on this rant about men attacking Black women. And that's what I hate, because she's changing the narrative. This is a disagreement between she and DL. Don't make it about Black women. Don't make it about Black men. And she wasn't attacked. I didn't see an attack. She brought up Steve Harvey. She brought up Tyler Perry. I think there's one more gentleman she had a conflict with. But that in itself is strange to me, that a woman, a married woman, will have so many conflicts, so many confrontations with men yeah, I know she's in a male dominated industry, acting, Hollywood, comedy. But that's strange to me that a married woman would have so much confrontation, so many confrontations with men. Uh, and her husband is her manager. So that's just strange. I don't know if he's hard to deal with, if he puts a battery in her back or not. But I never hear him speak. But she constantly says he's a king, and he's a strong man. But I never hear this man speak, although he's her manager. And she's constantly bumping heads with men. But throughout all the conflicts and the confrontations, I've never heard Monique take any portion of the blame, any portion of fault, or all of it, but just a slight portion. I've never heard or witnessed her take any blame. It's always the other person's fault, 100%. I got an issue with that, man, because even if that is the case, there's always a lesson to be learned in any situation. That's just how I feel. Even if I'm in the wrong, or even if I'm in the right, 100%, there's always a lesson to be learned. There's always an opening for self-reflection to see what could have I done differently in the situation. And I just don't see her doing that. I don't see her doing that. And I say this, man. She goes on this rant, but her husband's a king and this and that, right? Obviously, there's something missing there. But start your own thing. Don't go through a promoter. Start your own promotional company. Monique has a big enough following, a big enough name, where she doesn't have to go through a promoter. They can rent out, venues themselves. It may not be the huge venue, or it could be. They could have other people on the bill, and they sell and push those tickets themselves, and cut out the middleman. She has that name. That I think she could pull that off, but she keeps running into the same situation where she's having confrontations and conflicts with men, which is kind of strange to me. Yeah, I just couldn't imagine my wife constantly getting into it with men. And not only that, publicly putting the business out there. I think some of this could be handled behind the scenes. And so, I don't know, man, call me old fashioned, um, you know, misogynistic, but I do have an issue with that. That's really strange to me that a married woman, goes on rants like that when her husband is her manager. And so, and she constantly says he's a king. Yeah, that's strange to me. I would feel away. My wife giving men that kind of energy, whether it's negative or positive. I would. That's something I would address. But hey, to each his own, right? But I think that's a huge problem in society, and maybe it isn't a problem. You guys can comment. Let me know what you think. But I don't think enough women are held accountable, and I think it starts at a young age. Girls not being held accountable. Girls giving outs, and I think they carry that into adulthood. You know, Men are called to the carpet. Boys are called to the carpet. There is a measuring stick. There is an accountability. There is a bar set, and a boy and a man will know if he's not hitting that bar. He knows. He'll just know. Society will let him know. Everybody will let him know. The courts will let him know. Society, his brothers, his sisters, his mom, dad, his homeboys, the school, everybody, society will let that boy or man know that you're not par with the bar, and you need to step it up or you're slacking. Everybody will let them know, man. Especially social media. Social media will let men know if they're slacking. And it's not called male shaming. It's not called lazy shaming. It's not called deadbeat shaming. None of that. You don't have, even if men are overweight, you don't hear about fat shaming. It's only attached to when women are critiqued. Do you hear the word shaming behind anything? And so we're always held accountable. And that's just what it is, man. That's what it is, man. Our boys, your homeboys will hold you accountable, like straight up. And so, is that even realistic to expect women to be held accountable? Is that just the way we're designed? Are we just different that way? And is it up to the men to hold society accountable? Can we can we depend on women to share that duty? You know, but I do know uh, the typical woman, man. If she doesn't have to answer to someone, if she doesn't have to represent someone, she doesn't have a solid man, and she can get into some trouble. I do know that she can get reckless. Um, so I mean, that's just a matter of fact, man. You take a woman with a solid man, she'll move differently when she's single. She'll move totally differently, and you may not even recognize that woman. That's just the fact of the matter, man. And is it all women? Of course, no. But I think, generally speaking, women need structure and order to be attached to it, man. Even if it's not a romantic situation, man. They need solid fathers in their lives, brothers, even maybe male friends. Some people don't believe in that, but they need somebody that says, hey, that ain't kosher. Yeah, that ain't, and maybe they don't even have to say that. It's just men they respect. They're going to move differently when they're around them. And so, for Monique and certain women like that to go on rants like that, to go on public rants, she alluded to DL being on the DL. Man, that was disrespectful. And I just don't know a man that would tolerate that, a solid man that would tolerate his woman alluding to another man being on the DL. You know, yeah. I had to check a woman um, a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, that alluded to someone that we knew being on the DL, and I don't think the brother is, but she alluded to that, and I had to check her on that. Yeah, I checked her strong on that. That ain't cool, and yeah, she no longer speaks to me, but and that's cool. But yeah, they ain't gonna fly with me. But women need that. Women need men in their lives that say, "Hey, that ain't cool. We don't rock like that." And sometimes you ain't got to say that. Like I said, they will uh, fall in line according to the respect and the honor they have for that man, whether it's a father, a brother, a homeboy, a husband, a boyfriend. When that man is solid and he's respectable, he stands on principles, oh man, she'll fall in line. So this is why I got to question Monique's husband. The way she's moving, I don't think she respects the brother's principles, man. It has me wondering, man. It really does. So, let me know what y'all think on that. Um, I skipped the topic actually. So yeah, never run from confrontation. And maybe that's a good segue. And maybe that's what that brother's doing. A lot of brothers will avoid confrontation with their spouse, with their woman. And you guys can correct me on this, but I don't think women really avoid confrontation or bringing up stuff to their guy. They get it off. They get it off. It may not be in a healthy way or a mature way sometimes, but they get it off. And I think brothers hold in stuff a lot. They hold in their feelings. They hold in things they're dissatisfied with a lot because of the response they're gonna get. Again, most women do not want to be held accountable. And when you call them on their stuff, they get defensive. They start attacking. They might bring up some old stuff on you, or they change the discussion. They change the narrative, and you start arguing about something else or discussing something else that, it didn't begin with. They're good at that, at avoiding and redirecting the conversation. And then you get no result. And so after a man has experienced that enough times, he's just like, man, I don't even want to exert the energy. But I'm telling you, brothers, don't give in, because what's going to happen, man, that stuff's going to fester. And what you got to do, man, you just got to be patient, but don't avoid confrontation. Don't avoid calling her out on her stuff. Don't avoid it, because it's going to get worse. And then when you finally do say something, you may overreact, or she may say, well, I've done this for 5 years. I've done this for 10 years. Why are you just now saying something? That doesn't even matter. If you had said something year one, she would have had an issue with it. That doesn't matter. That's another way for them to deflect, the issue. So, hey, nip it in the bud, address it, stay consistent, stand your ground, don't budge, and call it out on her stuff, man. But I'm telling you, if you let it fester, if you let it build up, it's going to get worse, man. You're going to get frustrated, and you'll start seeking comfort. You'll start seeking peace in other things. It could be anything. Another woman. It could be the bottle, drugs, porn, hanging with the guys, video games, anything, man. It could be anything, for you to get peace. And that's just not healthy, man. You might as well cut it off. If you're not going to address it and live in peace with the woman, have a clear mind, a clear conscience, man, you might as well cut it off. And that could bring on a whole different set of issues. But I'm telling you, brothers, it's best to not avoid confrontation, man. It is not. Stay calm, stay mature, keep it player, keep it gentleman-like. Don't vibrate on her frequency. Be consistent. That's the number one thing, man. Be consistent. And we'll see where the chips fall, man. We'll see where the chips fall. Let's see. Yeah, I almost counseled today, but I said, no, I got to be consistent, right? So there's some things I have to take care of. I said, no, I got to be consistent. Although, man, I got a fire broadcast coming next Tuesday. I said, nah, I'm going to come in, be consistent. That's what we're going to do. So I hear this word a lot, boss. And I hear a lot. I don't hear men say it a lot. A lot of women say it. But we're going to address it in general, boss, man, boss versus a leader. Personally, I don't think we should be getting caught up in those titles. I don't think we should be saying we're either one. The people should say that. The people will crown you. Your actions will show who you are. But, just so we're clear, a boss, so you're not a boss if you're not cutting checks. You're not a boss if you don't have invoices, if you're not dealing with third-party vendors, contractors, consultants, employees. You're not a boss. And I see that a lot. A boss. It's like, man, a boss of what? Now, you could possibly manifest into that. Yeah, but let's be clear what a boss is, man. You got to take some L's. You got to take some risk. You got to pay out to be a boss. A leader is totally different. A leader is not necessarily a boss, and a boss is not necessarily a leader. There are a lot of bosses who are not leaders, a leader of men. They cannot lead men. They cannot lead a household, but they're bosses. They cut checks. They take risk. They have employees. They deal with contractors, the consultants, the bosses. But they may be poor leaders. Now you could be both, but that's not something we should be, crowning ourselves with. Like I said, the people should do that, and we should just walk the walk. My boy Rick Ross has a song, one of my favorite songs. I'm a boss, and I gotta say, from afar, Rick Ross is a boss. Is a boss. He's doing boss things. He's cutting checks. He's empowering people. He's giving people a platform to stand on. He's enlightening people. That's a boss. That's a boss. And I don't know how much of a leader he is, but he's definitely a boss. But man, let's work on enlightening ourselves. Let's get away from the titles. Let's focus on strengthening our inner self, our inner core, elevating our mentality, our spirit, our mindset, having stable, rock solid scruples and principles, and everything else will take care of itself. And the people will call you a boss. The people will call you a leader. It'll be evident. You ain't got to say it. People will just assume. They'll say what you are because of the way you walk. And so I know we get caught up on those titles a lot, man. Let's focus on the real stuff. Let's focus on the real stuff, the substance. Let's focus on that, man. Those titles, superficial. They make you feel good, but it's superficial. Really are. And it really is about ego. But let's focus on that character and go from there. And got this little dog barking. But man, that's all I had, man. That's all I had today. Like I said, next Tuesday, hey man, got Abdul, got Vicky, and that's gonna be fire. I know it's gonna be fire. So check us out next Tuesday, 6:30 Central Standard Time. Hey, don't miss it, man. Thought-provoking Tuesdays with SD. As always, love, peace.